Right, so today's video is a little bit different. I've had a really busy day. It's the end of the day now, but I have a bunch of stuff I'd like to talk about that are kind of more philosophical and that kind of thing. So if you want an action-packed video, it's not going to happen. But if you want a video that gets into the inner workings of my brain where I share some random, possibly embarrassing stuff, this is the video for you. This year has been a year of monumental mistakes. Over the last year, or more realistically year and a half, I've probably made around about $100,000 of mistakes. And that's a figure I can tangibly say I really did make that amount of mistakes. Like I can see that money leaving my bank account in various ways explicitly, from renting a property I shouldn't have rented and having to rent that for 2 years, to buying a machine I didn't need, to paying a PR company to promote a Kickstarter project for me for what was a lot of money for me at least, and it having no effect, and just a whole bunch of things. So it's been an interesting year, and I don't regret any of it. I don't really have regret as part of my psychology. I used to regret almost everything, every mistake and things like that, but regret isn't something I carry with me anymore, and if it does appear, it's, you know, I accept it for what it is and get rid of it. Anyway, that's another thing. But yeah, 2016, just mistake upon mistake. And the funny thing is, these mistakes are they get bigger. These mistakes get bigger. But the weird thing is, I handle them so much better than I did a few years ago. Like the smallest mistake a few years ago was just like disaster. Would eat me up for a day, a week, a month, or whatever. But now it's just like, oh, you know, I screwed that up, that's just cost me $2,000, or that's just cost me 2 weeks work. It's just like, okay, just accept it, move on. I don't sit around and lie around. So $100,000 of mistakes, it is what it is. Gonna make mistakes, there's nothing you can do about it. Earlier this year, just before I started doing these YouTube videos every day, I think a month or two before, I had this, I call it a revelation, but I went from sort of knowing where I was going with life and what I was doing, and like thought I was like the Kickstarter Jedi. I was doing this project and I knew everything about Kickstarter. I knew everything about what I was doing in my business and all that. And over the course of a few days and a few weeks, I suddenly realized I know nothing. Like, not only do I not know like a bit, but I know nothing about nothing. The extent of my knowledge is like half a grain of sand in the entire world of knowledge, like of all the beaches and everything and deserts in the world. Like, I know not even a grain of sand of anything, and it's like, it was interesting and somewhat liberating. I felt, you know, like I went through a bit of a process where I go, I just know nothing. Like, I have to learn everything from just, like, it's not like I got a bang on the head and suddenly like lost everything I knew. I still know everything I know, but I just realized that there's so much to know in this world and life that it just blows my mind. And so I think it was a bit of a reset button, a bit of a wake-up call for me to go like, Magnus, you need to be more open to things. You can't make so many assumptions. You can't think you know everything. You can't think you know about this, when, you know, there really is. Yeah, I need to probably think out this thought a bit more, but yeah, I'll leave that one at that. This year I really screwed up my business in terms of getting too caught up in fancy projects and taking things slower and getting distracted by life. Now, I don't regret any of this. Life unfolds and decisions are made, and you do them. You try to be aware when you make decisions and do things, and I don't have regrets, but this year, business has just slowed right down, and, you know, I've gotten into more debt. I've bought things I shouldn't have bought, and, you know, for the business at least. And so this coming year, I'm going to go back to the basics. I'm going to go back to building the relationship with my email list of customers and really, you know, interacting with them more. Focusing on simpler products that sell well and cost less. And yes, they might not be as exciting, but they bring money in, and that's important. Just business sustainability, that's like the number one thing. I mean, regardless of anything else, if you can't stay in business, then, you know, what's the point in doing anything else related to your business? So while I didn't go bankrupt this year, I've certainly gotten into a position money-wise where like I have to put in a lot of effort now to kind of dig myself out of a bit of a hole. There's no desperation, it's not that bad, but I am in overdraft, I do owe money on machines, and I need to focus and buckle down and get out of that, and that is really what I'm going to be pushing hard for this coming year. My worst character flaw by far is twofold. It's two things and they're kind of related. I make assumptions about things and I just believe 100% that's the way things are. And related to that is that I don't learn very well. Like I don't mean like, you know, picking up a manual for a bit of equipment and learning it. I mean learning a lesson. Like I have to learn it over and over and over again. A good example is me screwing up my business this year. I keep making progress, I see some money in my bank account from a big Kickstarter project and I go, oh, there's a pile of money there. I'm going to buy this bit of equipment to push my business forward. And I think I've got loads of money, and it turns out, you know, I've still got to produce the product, I've still got to ship the product, and I never can seem to learn that that big bunch of money comes in from Kickstarter or, you know, a sale or something, that it's all pretty much already been accounted for. My brain still goes, oh, there's loads of money. And I think it's because I've not learned that lesson, that life keeps handing it back to me, that it keeps going, Magnus, you've not learned it, there you go. You've not learned it, there you go. You've not learned it, there you go. Like, because I've not learned it, life keeps handing it back to me and I keep digging myself in a hole in that type of situation over and over. So that's my big character flaw. I take a long time to learn lessons. Once I get them, I'm fine, it's in my brain forever. But I just don't seem to learn very well. I'm still at the stage where, you know, my bank account will get down to a point where it can't get any lower, like in the negative. Like, I'm still, you know, got cash flow with the business is up and down, all that kind of stuff. There's one thing I will buy regardless of the limit I am at. I will actually like hunt around the house for cash to put into my bank account so that I could buy this thing. And that thing is books. I will always buy a book, a good book that's been recommended. And I don't mean like a novel because I want to like escape. I have a thing where I only buy books that are highly recommended from either a specific person that I can sort of trust the source of that it's going to be good, or a few people that like that recommend it. And so I have lots of books. I've got hundreds of books on my bookshelf. I've only read, you know, I don't know, 50 of them, something like that. But, you know, the books about things that I will ultimately read, you know, it's so difficult. I mean, there's, what, 10,000 books published a year, 100,000? I don't know how many books are published a year, but it's a lot. And pretty much all of them are not worthwhile, whatever area they're in. It's just very rarely is a book really worth the time reading. You know, it's hard to think that, but I really believe that. And I heard a quote once that if it's worth reading, it's worth buying, so it's worth owning. I've got books on psychology and business and real estate and just all sorts of stuff. And, you know, like I buy it if it's good, and so it's there when the time comes to read it, because, you know, like I go through different areas of my life, you know, and like I might be really trying to look into, say, right now it's Stoic philosophy. So I've got a bunch of books on Stoic philosophy that I've bought over the last 6 months or a year, or, you know, just here and there when I've had recommendations for them. And so I've got those ready now that I'm in a time in my life, a period of this year or whatever, where that's what I'm studying. And so that's why I do that. And so books are the thing that I will buy regardless of whether I don't have the money technically to buy it or not. And with that, I will leave you with a very appropriate quote today. It's by Charlie Tremendous Jones, and he said, "You will be the same person you are today in 5 years, but for two things: the people you meet and the books you read."